How's it going, guys? And welcome to the most epic EDC gift guide on the internet. In 2023, we've got something for everybody. We got knives, we got gears, we got cups, we've got everything in every budget. We got a lot of stuff. So let's jump right into it. But we're gonna kick it off real quick with a time-sensitive note on something really cool that's coming. And that is our good friend, Ben Peterson over at Knafs Co has the Lander 2.0 launching, I think like right now. You've got a crossbar lock, all the things we love about the Lander with the removable scales, deep carry pocket clip, two-way reversible. You guys know, Ben makes a great knife. The Lander has been a huge success. Everybody's been loving it. The cool thing about the Lander 2 is that obviously crossbar lock, which is huge. And then secondly, it's a bigger knife as well. So if you want to get one of these for the Christmas season, now's the time. So jump on over, we got a link down in the description. You guys know that we can't make these videos without our sponsors. Huckberry is actually sponsoring this one, and Huckberry makes a ton of rad gear. We're gonna show you some cool stuff throughout the entire video from Huckberry, but just little things. Like they've got big things, they got little things, just like field note packs. You can get exclusive field note packs over at Huckberry, and honestly, for EDC, who doesn't love a good field notes? And then like cool little wish list things. This is a Knox monocular. It's just a 8x32 magnification monocular. This is just kind of a thing that I have always thought about. I've always wanted. I've had a couple really cheap ones when I was younger. This one's actually good. So it's got this kind of extendable eyepiece for people with glasses, since I've got glasses. It's really crisp, it's really cool. It's got a place if you wanted to mount it to a tripod. But really, when we're talking EDC, this is just a rad thing that you can throw in your car, throw in your truck, or even throw in a backpack if that's something you want to do. Honestly, the 12-year-old in me is like, throw it in a backpack and be MacGyver or be a spy or whatever, but probably more practical in the car, doesn't take up as much space as binoculars, and just kind of handy to have around. So we're gonna have a bunch of Huckberry stuff sprinkled throughout. And speaking of a bunch of stuff, Boker Knives makes some really rad stuff and has a huge variety of knives. And I'm gonna show you guys kind of just a cool selection for the holiday season. Boker makes a ton of stuff. And I think people get lost in the sauce when it comes to Boker brand, because Boker has like 4 or 5 brands underneath the name Boker. So you can get like a Boker Magnum Mermaid, for example. One of my favorite knives of all times. It's not a great knife. It's a fun knife, but it's not a great knife. And it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. And then you can go all the way up to like handmade in Germany, really high quality Boker Zollingen stuff. We have some stuff from some different ranges here. So, you know, right in kind of the Boker Magnum range, actually a really stellar knife. Kind of show this stuff on the channel once or twice. This is a brand new one from Boker. It's called the Boker Rockstub. It's got that great crossbar lock on it that we all love. Nice compact size, but it's not a small knife. Definitely kind of in that medium range. It's got a bit of grip to it. It's got a bit of width to it. You know, comes in these 2 flavors right now. Nice deep carry pocket clip. Not reversible, but nice deep carry pocket clip. And you can get it in aluminum or you can get it in micarta. The aluminum version, I think it goes for like 26 or 28 bucks. And every knife that we're gonna talk about, and most of the gear that we're gonna talk about, a lot of it's on sale. So don't completely quote on me, but I think all day you can get these things for like 26, 28 bucks. And the micarta version, you can pick this up for right around like 35, 38, somewhere in there. I mean, that price, it's an easy gift to give. Now, on the upper end of that echelon is Boker Zollingen or Solingen. And these are knives that are handmade in Germany, you know, highest quality materials, really great handmade process. Me and Jamie have both been to Boker in Germany, and we can attest to the amount of work and the amount of craftsmanship that goes into them. And they've got this really interesting project in that Boker Germany, Boker Solingen lineup. And that is represented best kind of, I think, in these 2 knives. They have this historical Damascus project, and it's represented in these 2 knives here. So this top knife right here, this knife is micarta handle. It's got a titanium frame lock side, kind of cool design in general. And then you'll notice that it has a Damascus blade. That Damascus blade actually has bits of M4 Sherman tank in it. So this is an M4 Sherman tank Damascus blade, which is super cool for any of you history buffs out there. And then this blue one here, this has bits of 1969 Camaro in it. So this is a 1969 Camaro knife. This is like a Pantone matched Le Mans blue. You've got like the little speed fins here. If you know the 1969 Camaro, you'll know exactly what that is. We have a full video actually coming out on this knife and this project, but this is just 2 examples of these really interesting historical knives that Boker does. So I highly recommend that you go check them out for the history buff in your life, or the car enthusiast, or the World War II enthusiast, or just the knife enthusiasts that want something special, these are actually really, really cool knives. And then finally, just kind of in the Boker world, this is actually also a Boker Zolingen knife, and this is the Boker Bronco. And this thing is awesome. So this is I'd lean it towards a little more bushcraft, but it's big enough you could throw it in that survival category. But you have a nice rubberized handle, obviously full tang with the hammer on the end. This is a huge chunk of 3V. You've got a kind of rounded edge and then a sharp edge for, striking your ferro rods and stuff like that. Handmade leather sheath with a striker. And this is just one version of the Bronco that's super awesome. And I think you can get these for right around $200, 180, $200, just depends on which version you go with. The Bronco is just an absolutely stellar deal with that much 3V, with the leather sheath. We really, really dig the Bronco. This is actually unseated a couple knives for Jamie in his truck knife outdoor category. Is that right, Jamie?
That's my backpack knife.
Exactly. The Boker Bronco, really cool knife, comes in a couple different flavors. You can get it in a little more simplified. There's like a smaller version out there. We're not quite sure if it's actually available in the States or not just yet, but we'll have some links down in the description you guys can check out. We'll have links down in the description for everything that you guys are gonna see on the table. Now, when we're talking heritage and we're talking fixed blades, and we're talking gifts, I think there's a really cool opportunity out there that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. Now, it's no secret, I'm a big fan of buck knives, and specifically, I'm a big fan of like the Buck 119, Buck 120, the Buck 110, the Buck 112. I love those knives. I carry them all the time. You might notice that this is Buck 119 that looks a little bit different than normal. So this is out of Buck's Custom Shop Builder. This is like a chip blade is what they call it. I forget what the handle is on this. I built this like almost a year ago now, and I love this knife. And then obviously you got the brass guards and the brass pommel. The cool thing about it is you can build a couple of the iconic Buck knives in a bunch of different varieties and flavors. You can do engravings and stuff like that on it. Just a cool gift for somebody who's into hunting, who's into knives, or you just want like a unique gift or something cool, or you want something cool for yourself. Buck's got a really cool program. And I should note that this is not the sheath that comes with the knife. This is just the sheath that I had it in to be able to throw it up here on camera for you guys. So it does come with a nice leather sheath, but I have that leather sheath on a different knife right now. And here's the thing. Obviously, Christmas time, winter time, there's still opportunity for a lot of adventure out there. And actually, like winter adventuring can always be a little bit more unique and a little bit more fun than summer adventuring, as long as you're prepared. So on that adventure vein, there's a couple cool things. And let's talk about some awesome kind of adventure level gifts. So this one's kind of a simple one, but from Huckberry, I forget the name of the brand, it's Heimat. It's a German brand. It's actually kind of funny. German made. So this is a wool beanie, a Heimat wool beanie. And that might not sound very special or very unique or whatever, but it's got great construction, 100% virgin wool, which is really cool. And it's kind of got two settings. So I'm gonna show you guys my messy hair and kind of show you what I'm talking about here. So you've got like a higher setting, which is how I wear my beanies, kind of skull cap. Cover the top of the ears, but still be able to hear. I don't have great hearing, a lot of years of construction, so I don't like covering my ears because it makes me feel like I can't hear even more. So enough to keep the head warm, keep the heat in, or you can fold it down, and then you get, you can fold it over the ears, put it in whatever configuration that you want. I'm sure it doesn't look great right now because I can't see myself, but you get the idea. And it's wool, which is really, really cool. Here's the thing. I love my beanies. I wear beanies all throughout the winter, and for years I've been wearing Vans branded beanies. And for years I've been able to walk into a Vans every couple of years when I've worn this out, stretched it out, just ruined, and get the exact same beanie over and over again. Recently they've kind of changed it, and they've kind of made them longer. They're not as good, and I've only got one good one left. So I was excited to see a wool option from Huckberry because I think that Vans one's just like polyester or whatever. But great little beanie from Huckberry. Now, when we're talking adventuring, it's always good to be able to carry a little bit of gear around with you, when you're going on a walk or when you're going out in the woods or whatever it may be. So if you don't want to go the full backpack, there's tons of great sling, kind of fanny pack, that type of options. We did a whole video on it if you guys want to check it out. My favorite, hands down, is the Tough Possum belt pouch. The number one reason this is my favorite hip pack right now is because it mounts directly to your belt. So there's no slings, there's no anything like that getting in the road. It goes right on your belt. You can lock it in on your belt between one of your belt loops on your pants, and it just stays right there. It's not shifting around. It's not really in the road as long as you position it where it's going to be useful for you. And then the other reason that I really love this Tough Possum is because it's not huge, but it doesn't have a bunch of weird dividers or anything in that. Now, it would be nice maybe to have like 1 or 2 dividers, but it's just simple. And that's why I love this Tough Possum so much. It stays out of the road. It's not big and weird. You can honestly wear this thing around and probably not even look like you're really carrying around like a fanny pack. It just holds the essentials. So highly recommend this Tough Possum. If you can't tell, I use this thing quite a bit. I really, really love it. And they just make good stuff, and they're good people over there, which is super rad. I think we're gonna look at kind of an interesting thing from my Medic. Now, a while back, we sat down and we did a video on first aid EDC, and honestly, not a lot of people saw it, and that's okay, it is what it is. But I don't know if you guys know this, but Jamie's a doctor. You're a doctor, right, Jamie?
No, that's not right.
But Jamie did work as a paramedic. How long did you work as a paramedic for, Jamie?
Just over 2 years.
Yeah, just over 2 years. Obviously, went to school for it, so we had a couple years in school as well. And so Jamie's actually pretty expert when it comes to understanding trauma kits, understanding first aid kits. So if you want like a full loadout on that, go check that video out. It's a super cool video. Jamie's really knowledgeable. And as we were doing that video, my Medic, it makes some really cool kind of like pre-built, actually useful first aid kits. And this is their EDC Trauma Kit. So inside it's trauma kit. This is meant to stop bleeding and keep people alive. So you've got like chest seals, you've got a rat tourniquet, you've got some quick clot gauze stuff, and just a couple other little things that you need, again, in a trauma situation. And it probably would be like in a car accident situation. It's probably like the most common place that you're gonna come across something like that. So throwing a trauma kit into your car can be a really great thing. And this My Medic EDC Trauma Kit is one of the best ones that we've seen out there. Now, Jamie had mentioned that he might change that tourniquet in or out. Jamie, if you change that tourniquet out, what would you go with?
Definitely a cat.
Yeah, cat tourniquet. But you know, the rat, the cat, they're both good. The cat is a little more preferred, I think. But either way, great kit. My Medic make great stuff just in general. So definitely check this thing out. But I will say, this is important when it comes to anything with gear or anything, especially with first aid, is if you're gonna carry it, if you're gonna get it and carry it, any first aid stuff, get some training. So in that video, we talk about training, we talk about all that stuff. It's really easy to find training in your area, and then make sure that you're staying up on that training, because not only do best practices change, but also just, you know, staying trained and staying in function, keeping that muscle memory going is important. One of my favorite quotes is, you're not going to rise to the level of your expectation, you're going to fall to the level of your training. So remember that. And then finally, when it comes to just kind of like outdoors, adventuring, and you know, the idea of gifts, we got 2 little multi-tools here. So we recently just did a budget EDC guide. So basically just how to build a really great EDC loadout on not a lot of money. And the Victorinox Tinker popped up in that as kind of one of your best multi-tool options. It's 20 bucks. You get bottle opener, can opener, you get drivers, you get blades, you get all sorts of rad stuff with this Tinker. I carry a Swiss Army knife every single day. I actually carry the Victorinox Compact, which is definitely, I think it's like one of the most expensive, like of that sized Victorinoxes that there are. So for 20 bucks, this thing is an absolutely killer deal. You get pry, you get drive, you get cut, and you get a Phillips head, which to me, if you're gonna have screwdrivers on you, honestly, you need to have a Phillips head on you. So this is a great knife that somebody could throw in a purse. This is a great knife that somebody could throw in a pocket, but it also might feel like too much of a knife to commit to. And that's where this James brand Elko comes in. Again, this was a Huckberry find. You know, we all know the James brand. You may or may not be familiar with the Elko. Out of everything that James brand makes, I think the Elko is probably my favorite. And the reason for that is the price isn't like crazy. I think these go for like 60 bucks, somewhere in that range, which, you know, is a little spendy, but it's a really useful little tool, and it's a really easy, small commitment if somebody in your life just needs to have a knife on them. And you guys have heard me say it before. I think everybody should carry at least something like the Elko or something like the Tinker. Having just a few tools and a way to cut things just makes your life way more easy, and it makes you a handy, kind of engaged person in the world. And the Elko is a great example of that. We actually worked with a graphic designer a few years back, my buddy Sean. He was not a knife guy. He got himself an Elko, and he absolutely loved it, carried it all the time. You can put it on your keys, you can carry it in your pocket, you can throw it in a purse, whatever the situation may be. And if you're not carrying it on your keys, the cool thing is that this little flathead driver kind of pry bar situation is actually really useful, very functional. James brand Elko, great little adventure companion, and both of those are great options to get people for stocking stuffers or to get people just kind of, again, carrying a couple tools with them, making their lives a little bit easier. Now, something that is a tool that is not necessary by any measure, but is really dang cool, is this SoulBuilt Marksmith Sharpie. So this is a bolt action, full titanium Sharpie. So the bolt action's really smooth, really fidgety, really fun. Again, full titanium construction. So obviously on the camera, this probably looks stainless, but it's really light. It's got a really good balance to it. If that's something that you're particularly worried about. And then the other cool thing is that they offer engraving as well. So again, as a gift idea, if somebody's working in a warehouse or if somebody's, grading a lot of papers or whatever it may be. For me, this is just something cool that I'm gonna throw in a bag because I think it's really rad. But you can get some engraving on it. So I did destroy it to enjoy it because it's kind of my gear philosophy. A couple things that aren't immediately obvious from looking at the outside of this. This takes the Sharpie retractable inserts, and you can buy them directly from SoulBuilt, and you can get those inserts, and you can get them in highlighter, you can get them in Sharpie. They even have a pen insert that you can buy over there at SoulBuilt. Or, and this is a huge thing to me, and the only reason this is on the list, because I think it's really cool, but I do not like cool things that require me to have to constantly order things online. I like to be able to just go to the place closest to me and get what I need. You can order the inserts online, or just with a pair of scissors, just modify the back end of one of those retractable Sharpies and be able to use the inserts in your Marksmith. Just so you know, in those retractable inserts, there is a cover that goes over the highlighter or the Sharpie, so it's covered until you engage it. So there's a little cover in there that protects the ink so it won't dry out on you until you've used up all the ink. This one's really neat, and I think this one that we haven't really seen before, which kicks us off onto kind of a category of gift ideas that you guys have probably seen some of this stuff before, but that is in storing and organizing kind of all of our little cool gear and tchotchkes. And we're gonna start kind of on the smallest and work our way up to the biggest. Starting on the small end, we have the Holmes and Hadfield coin holder. Now here's the thing, I don't carry coins around with me every day. I don't carry coins around with me ever. But here's the thing, I work in the industry, I do buy knives that come with coins from time to time, and I have a lot of friends that have cool projects that I might buy a coin from them, right, to support them in their project. But they just have always sat in a drawer. I've never had them on display. And that's the cool thing about the Holmes and Hadfield display cases. You can have 3 coins on display at a time. It's just a nice little cover that comes on and off. And then you do have this little drawer out front. You can put a ton of coins on the inside of it. And when we're talking about coins, it doesn't even have to be a coin specifically. I mean, you've got like Jack Wolf knives that sends out the pogs. So you could like have your Jack Wolf knife pogs on display, or even things like just like little EDC tchotchkes. This is the notorious EDC beer bomb. I absolutely love this thing. I do carry this thing from time to time, but again, it just sits in a drawer and it's cool to have it on display. So this does fit in there. So there's a lot of like neat things you could do with this. It is built for coins, obviously. So yeah, Holmes and Hadfield coin holder. I think it's super rad. And finally, I have a way now to have my coins out that I've just kind of had sitting in drawers. Now, the next thing that they have is something that I've been wanting for a few years now, not necessarily from Holmes and Hadfield. I think this is a fairly new product for them, but it's something that I've been wanting for myself. And that is kind of just like a clean, nice bedside caddy for my gear. So it doesn't matter if you have a lot of gear or a little gear. I think this is a super useful little thing. They have it coming in 2 sizes. As you can see, at night, you can set your phone up. If you have, carry earpods or whatever. I don't use earpods very often at all, but I know a lot of people do use kind of rechargeable earbud type things. And then, you've got this nice felt layout here where you can put your pocket knife, you can put your flashlight, put your wallet. I love the idea of just a catch-all for all my gear. And I think this thing goes for like $80 or something like that, which in my opinion, I think is a very fair price for just kind of a useful, handsome piece of gear to put on your bedside and keep your stuff organized. Now, obviously, a lot of gear that we carry is rechargeable and requires cords and whatnot, and they've got you covered. So there's these little inserts here that you can put a cord catcher in, and then there's routing on the bottom of the caddy, and that allows you to route a cord up and underneath. They've got a lock in for the cord, and then your cord is stationary and doesn't move, so you can put your gear on and off of your charging cord every night and every morning. And then there is a cool little drawer in the front, and I just have to show you guys that cord collar that they make. It's got a little set screw. You just screw that into your cord. Once you've done that, you route your cord up beneath, you screw that into your cord, and then you just drop it into place, and then your cord's locked into place there. The cool thing about the little drawer here is, if you're carrying a little extra gear, you can put your extra gear in there, put cash in there. You could put maybe an extra knife or 2 in here and trade your knives out regularly kind of on your bedside. It's a cool little caddy. It's something that I've wanted for a long time. And like I said, I think that Holmes and Hadfield does a stellar job with organizing our stuff, which brings me to the grand big daddy of stuff that Holmes and Hadfield makes. This is the Armada. This thing is insane. This is the new from Holmes and Hadfield. I think it holds like 50 knives, so obviously you can put a bunch of gear and stuff like that. Obviously, it's big, It takes up a little bit of space. There's a lot of improvements, though, not just space-wise on this as compared to the Armory, which they also have, and we've reviewed and we really enjoyed. We did a whole video on knife storage solutions. One of the biggest things is that getting into your knives in the top of this thing, your display knives, which maybe these are the knives you're kind of like changing in and out of your pocket regularly, it's on a hinged case now as opposed to a big piece of clear plexiglass that you take off and have to set down and have to put back on. This alone, I think, is super rad, like a super great advancement in the way that they're storing knives. And then, of course, you've got 2 shelves underneath that will hold different knives, different gear. So I've got a Tops NPAT in here, which, you know, decent sized little fixed blade. I have a Big Banter in here from Wee Knives. And for the bottom storage, that's about the biggest knife that you'll be able to get into the bottom storage. Almost anything in your collection, folding-wise, is going to be able to fit in the Armada. And, you know, like I said, I just think it's a really great knife storage. I've always been kind of a Craftsman toolbox storage guy. And to be honest, that's going to hold more. It's going to be able to hold bigger knives. It's going to be able to hold a larger assortment of knives, depending on if you have a big collection of big knives. But it doesn't look nearly as good. The other 2 Holmes and Hadfield pieces, sub $100, great kind of gifts for yourself or for people in your life that might have those types of needs. I mean, that bedside organizer could be good for anybody. The Armada is definitely a little more expensive. So the Armada is going to go for, like I said, right around $300, $325. You might be able to get it for less. I know there's tons of sales going on with the holidays, but you know, something to consider. If you have this many knives and you're into knives, I think that the Armada is definitely worth it as far as a clean, elegant, kind of manly solution for storing and displaying, you know, your collection and your passion. Speaking of that kind of rugged gentleman, we've got a couple other things from Huckberry. Let me get this off the table. All right, it's no secret that I'm a big fan of kind of like, you know, flannel, wax canvas, that type of thing. And you guys have definitely seen this before because I think we showed it last year in our gift guide. This is the Flint and Timber flannel-lined waxed jacket. Now, we got this last year, I think around like November, October-ish, and then shortly after, there was, I think it's a TV show for The Last of Us, which is like a famous video game. I've never played the game and I've never watched a TV show, but apparently the main character in that wears this jacket. So you probably in the last year have seen this jacket somewhere, which is great, and that's fine, and Hollywood's cool and movies are fun. But as somebody who's had it for a year and somebody who's really loved it, I can tell you right now that this thing is absolutely worth it. And actually, the one that's in my hands is for Jamie. I got this for Jamie for Christmas because he'd been crushing on it. And so yeah, I hope he likes it. Jamie, what do you think?
I mean, I like it. Yours is a little bit more broken in, though.
Yeah, exactly. This is what they come like new. If you've never had wax canvas before, it feels a little weird right out of the box. But once you wear it, it gets just like beautiful wear lines. We could call it a jacket patina. It's not super heavy duty. It's great for layering. And then with that wax canvas on top, I have found it to be pretty dang water repellent. Kind of that rugged look that I know that a lot of guys like or go for. And then on that note, this one's kind of a funny one, but these are the Gray's Outdoor Slipper in wool, again, over at Huckberry. And I think last time, you guys can see I've been wearing these because I love them. Last season, we had a pair of slippers similar to this, but I think they were low cut. Here's the thing, it's wintertime. It's snowing where we are. I've got a bunch of dirt and gravel and everything around my house. These are so good for just slipping on and being able to pop out to get the mail or being able to pop out, you know, over the gas station to get a treat or whatever it is. Or they can make great house shoes. I wear wool socks throughout the whole year. So in the house with wool socks and these on, way too hot. But outside, absolutely perfect. Super comfy. So yeah, again, over at Huckberry, these are super awesome. I think, Jamie, didn't you end up with the short ones from last year?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, so exactly, there you go. He's had them for a year. They sit outside of his house regularly. I couldn't remember which ones exactly he had. It cannot be a gift guide without talking about one of the best budget brands out there. Man, maybe the best budget brand out there if we're talking about consistency across the line, and that is CIVIVI, Sencut, right? All three of those companies are the same, just kind of at different price points. Just kind of a quick run through of 4 stellar budget CIVIVI knives that I think you should know about. This is the Sencut Serene, kind of a bigger button lock knife. It's gonna come in a million different flavors. So the one that I'm showing you, if you're not into this, that's okay. Check out CIVIVI's website. They're gonna have a million other different options. So this is the Sencut Serene. Great, bigger budget knife. And then next up, this is one that I just don't hear talked about enough, and I absolutely love this knife. And this is the CIVIVI Conspirator. So obviously button lock. This particular one has that beautiful like gray-green micarta that I think just CIVIVI does so well. It's got skeletonized liners, stainless steel liners on the inside. And then again, kind of a bigger knife, nice deep carry pocket clip. And this is the thing, is everything that CIVIVI and Weed does, it's really well thought out. It's really good materials. I've said it before, not all of their designs are for me, but every one of their knives is absolutely stellar. Great people over there and great warranty as well. Now, speaking of designs that aren't necessarily for me, but I know other people will dig, that would be the CIVIVI Brazen. So the Brazen comes in a button lock and a liner lock, I believe. Again, this is something that's so cool about CIVIVI, is if you don't like a knife that you've seen, literally just go check it out. There are probably 10 to 15 other versions of that exact same knife. So this one's the Brazen. You've got the Tonto out front, G10 handles, and again, a nice deep carry pocket clip. This particular one is a liner lock. It also comes in a button lock version as well. This one's kind of an interesting one. This is kind of a highlight on what we does during the holiday times. I'm gonna go here and then I'll show you guys this last one that we have on the table. So this is a gift package that you can buy from CIVIVI, which I think is really interesting. It's got just kind of just like thank you thing that's full of like some stickers and some polishing cloths and stuff like that. And then inside, what you get is you get a really neat kind of compact EDC pen, and you get a kind of holiday themed Elementum. This one is the button lock version. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, holiday themed CIVIVI button lock Elementum. And then you get this really cool compact twist on, twist off EDC pen along with it. And you get the whole thing for like 90 bucks, which is a pretty dang good deal if you're looking to just get somebody some kind of like EDC package. And this is a great highlight of what we in CIVIVI does during the holiday season. So first off, not just on their website, but all over, you're gonna find tons of their knives on huge sale. They do great holiday sales, like actual sales, not just, you know, pretending that they put the knife on sale and it's the same price. And then secondly, they always have little cool add-ons or little cool gift things like this one here. Like as of right now, at the taping of this video, I know that if you go over there and you spend like 28 bucks, you get like a knife roll that'll hold like 8 or 10 knives or something like that. This is a cool gift package, but we in general, it's just a great way to get a bunch of bang for your buck during the holiday season. And if you're anything like me, your budget's probably a little bit tighter than normal, so it's appreciated, that's for sure. All right, last knife on the table from we CIVIVI is the CIVIVI Qubit. And this is one, honestly, this is the first time I've really handled this knife, but I know that this is a knife that a lot of people have been talking about, a lot of people have been excited for. I love that it's pink. This particular one is pink. Again, you can get it in a million different flavors. The reality of it is when we're talking gear, I think a lot of times we're talking, you know, guy to guy or thinking about guy to guy, right? But the reality of it is that a lot of the women in our lives also like and carry gear or want to carry gear or might be interested in it or just need the right thing to convince them they should carry some gear. This could be a great one for the lady in your life, or if you're a dude and you're into pink, dope. Then
I'm gonna carry that thing.
Exactly. Jamie was like, I really like the pink, so Jamie's gonna be that guy. We're talking about the ladies in our life. Specifically, I got this for the lady in my life because it feels like every woman in the world has one of these Stanley Cups, and I just hadn't gotten one for my wife yet. You can get the Stanley Cup over at Huckberry. There's nothing really more to say about this except it comes in the, you know, the ever popular seafoam green, and at least in Utah, you can't be a Utah mom unless you're carrying one of these around. So I made sure that my wife didn't get her license revoked in Utah. On that same note, actually funny enough, on the Stanley end, this is a Stanley insulated French press coffee maker. Now here's the thing, full transparency, I don't drink coffee, but Jamie does. And I know a lot of you guys out there drink coffee as well. And so when we were kind of looking at some like camping options, some outdoor options, just some good like cold weather options, this caught Jamie's eye and Jamie's like, dude, we gotta get this thing. So Jamie, you took a look at it. What's your impression?
It's big, it's vacuum sealed, and I feel like it's great for multi-person camping trips.
And that's the big thing. So I was talking to Jamie because like if I go camping and I make a hot drink for a bunch of people, I'm boiling some water and I'm throwing in a hot cocoa mix. That's just what I do, right? But Jamie was saying you could probably get a solid 4 cups of coffee out of this thing. It is insulated, so it's gonna keep your water warm. He did say that you probably wouldn't wanna make the coffee and leave it in there just because of the way the grounds and stuff sit at the bottom. So you wouldn't wanna like make it and let it sit for a long time and have somebody mess with it. Again, I don't make coffee. So is that correct, Jamie?
Don't leave your grounds in there for too long.
There we go. And it's Stanley. So again, just kind of a classic, tough Americana vibe to it, which is really cool. This is just something I thought was cool, just to show you some of the cool little stuff that Huckberry has. If you're looking for a one-stop shop for Christmas shopping, this is just a silly little like classic cafe mug. I've drinking hot chocolate out of these ever since I was a little kid. And the cool thing is it's got a little C out there on the bottom. All right, now we did a video a little while back where at the end I gave some book suggestions. We were talking about new gear. We had 5 really awesome new knives. And at the end I was like, you know what? I try to read about 4 books-ish a month. So I do a lot of reading. I really love to read. And so I thought I'd give you guys some good holiday book suggestions. I've got 2 fun ones and then I've got one that's a little bit heady. So let's start with the most relevant one, probably to most of you guys watching this channel, and that would be Bowie or Bowie. It's pronounced Bowie, but that's okay. Bowie knife fights, fighters, and fighting techniques. This thing is just cool. So what you have inside of this book is a little bit of, or a lot of it, of Bowie knife history. A lot of cool illustrations of the different knives throughout time, illustrations about the knife fights that may or may not have occurred, how the Bowie knife affected different areas. Again, I'm based in Utah, so there's a whole section in here about the Bowie knife in Utah and like the Latter-day Saints, which is kind of the prevailing religion here in this state. Which was really fun to read from a historical perspective. And then, just historical accounts of Bowie knife fights. I don't know what more to say, except it's really fun. And this guy, Paul Critchner, he is a pretty famous comic book artist. He's done a lot of underground comics back in the 70s and 80s. He had a big run called Dope Rider, which was this really interesting, like, psychedelic cowboy skeleton dude that went on adventures. But he did a bunch of research and did this as well. Now, one thing I will say about this, take everything in this book with a grain of salt because it's based on a bunch of accounts from newspapers back in the day, and they had a tendency, as today, to not always be the most trustworthy sources of information. But for a fun read during Christmas season, you know, you've opened up all the gifts and you're looking to just unwind, that is a great book. Another really kind of fun book, something kind of a little bit interesting, is this World Beyond Time sci-fi art of the 1970s. Now, I'm a bit of a nerd. I like, you know, things like Conan, and I like things like Warhammer, and it's not really nerdy to like Star Trek and Star Wars anymore, but I've always enjoyed Star Trek, Star Wars, comic books, all that stuff. So this was a really fun kind of throwback to a lot of the kind of like art and stylizations and stuff as a little kid that I saw in books and things like that. I wasn't born in the 70s, but a lot of that stuff was just kind of laying around when I was younger. So what it does is it just shows you a bunch of this rad art, and then it talks about the artists, it talks about some of the art that they've done. The chapters are broken down into who the artists were, and then the different art that they did. And the cool thing is some of this stuff was like, these artists basically had disappeared from history. Like some of this stuff was like only on TV guides or like on weird magazines that didn't really exist. And just dudes that ended up, like guys and gals, that ended up just not doing a lot with their art after the 70s. So I don't know, kind of a cool book, something a little bit different. I don't know if you're a nerd like me, but again, that's a fun one to thumb through, and it's just beautiful to look at, which is great. And then finally, something a little bit heady. I love reading philosophy. I've always read philosophy. If you can't tell, this is one of my favorite books of all time. This is The Art of the Commonplace, which is basically just a collection of essays by Wendell Berry. He talks a lot about agrarian philosophies, you know, farming and taking care of the land and things like that. He does poetry, he does philosophy, he does, again, political commentary. He does it all. And this book is a great collection of his ideas and his work. I don't agree with everything that he says in here. I don't think I agree with everything in any book. But he has a lot of cool stuff in here, a lot of things to think about. And yeah, highly recommend The Art of Commonplace by Wendell Berry. All right. So we've talked about gear, we've talked about books, we've talked about knives, we've talked about all sorts of stuff, and it's important to be able to maintain those things as well. So we are going to show you guys a couple sharpeners from Worksharp. So actually, I'm going to kick it off with the simplest of the sharpeners. So this pocket sharpener is super inexpensive. It's like $15 or something like that. Again, with Worksharp, they might be having a sale because it's Christmas time, depending on when you watch this video. This is like a $15 sharpener. It's got a ceramic rod on one side, and then it's got kind of like a diamond grit on the other. But we learned a really neat hack from our buddy Kyle over there. This is just put on with 3M adhesive, this diamond grit on this side. So you can actually just pry this off, and on their website, they sell a leather strop that fits perfectly in this area. You could order this and the leather strap, pry this off, glue the leather strap on, and now what you have is a leather strap and a ceramic rod for touching up your EDC knives just on the go in the morning. This pocket sharpener is such a great little way to be able to tune up your knives in the morning just before you walk out the door. And you could put it on your Holmes and Hadfield, you could put it in one of the drawers of the Holmes and Hadfield bedside organizer, but either way, pocket sharpener, super great, super useful, and a fun little hack for like 20-ish bucks. You can have a great little edge tune-up tool that you can use every morning if you wanted to, or you can travel with, or whatever it may be. And then we have this rolling knife sharpener. Now this is something that's really new from Worksharp, not really new to the world. So, you know, WorkSharp obviously pays attention to what's going on in the world of sharpening. These sharpeners have kind of popped up on the internet, and so WorkSharp's like, I mean, we do sharpeners and we kind of do them really, really good. They're bringing sharpening to the masses. So they did their own version of the rolling sharpener. And it seems as though everybody's really been liking it. I know just personally, I've been digging this a lot. So it comes with a 600, a 320, and a ceramic stone. And it's just magnetic. So you just pop that off. You can put this in your box. And then you just pop your next grid on. All your same sharpening principles apply. And then this is your base. Funny enough, oh hey, this one will work. I would not do this knife on this, just so you know, but and I'll talk about that in just a second. But it's got a 17, a 25, and a 15 degree angled guide on this base, and then it's magnetic, so it will magnetize your knife to it, and then you can just run your sharpening stone along the end, get your burr, you know, follow all your proper sharpening techniques. WorkSharp has some of the best how-to videos for their products, obviously, out there, so I highly recommend if this is something you're interested in, go check that out. And the reason that we're showing this is because this is a stellar kitchen knife sharpener. This is something you could get your mom, you could get your grandma, you could get your chef friend, you get your dad, you could get your grandpa, whoever does the cooking, whoever's in the kitchen the most, you could get this for them. And this is something that will be so much better than a pull-through sharpener. This is something that will keep their knives sharp and keep things really simple as well. And it's nice and compact. You can keep it in the box it comes in, or you can just throw it in a drawer in the kitchen as well. This is the WorkSharp rolling sharpener. Guys, that right there is our 2023 gift guide. Let us know if this was helpful. Let us know what you guys have been digging on. I know there's a lot of cool gift guides out there. We'll catch you on the next one.